7 facts that turned out to be myths. Myth 1. Oxygen on Earth thanks to solar trees. If you ask anyone you meet where oxygen comes from in the atmosphere of our planet, he will probably answer, it is produced by trees. Comrades who are especially pumped in geography will add that the tropical jungle, those in the Amazon basin, are the lungs of the planet. Trees are certainly important and should be planted as much as possible, but they are not the main source of life-giving O2. In reality, land plants produce only a third of the oxygen on our planet. And its main volume, more than 70%, is formed due to phytoplankton, kelp, and algal plankton. It is the tiny plant microorganisms that live in the oceans that are the source of oxygen for us. Therefore, water pollution threatens to reduce the amount of this gas in the atmosphere. Myth 2. If you quickly pick up food from the floor, bacteria will not have time to get on it. Surely you have heard a lot of proverbs like quickly raised is not considered to be fallen, what fell from a student fell on a newspaper, every mote is a vitamin, and so on. They have the same meaning. If you dropped food, but then quickly picked it up, no harmful microbes from the floor could get on it. This concept is also called the 5-second rule. In fact, even short-term contact with a surface covered with microbes is enough to infect food with them. This was verified experimentally in 2003 by microbiologist Gillian Clark from the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. She even received the Ig Nobel Prize for this. Another thing is that on the floor of an average home kitchen, as a rule, strains of bacteria so dangerous are not found that eating raised foods leads to serious illness. But in catering places, it is better not to take risks. Myth 3. Sunflowers follow the sun. Another misconception from the world of botany. All sensible people are convinced that sunflower flowers turn after the sun. After all, it's not for nothing that the plant got its name. But even here, everything is not so simple. Indeed, the vast majority of plants are characterized by heliotropism, the ability to turn towards the light source. This allows more efficient photosynthesis. But in a sunflower, adult flowers are always turned strictly to the east. Only green buds follow the light. And blooming, the flowers lose this ability. So you can wait until the black and yellow giants start spinning indefinitely. Myth 4. Beer contains female hormones. It is known that beer contains hops, and it, in turn, contains phytoestrogen, a plant analog of the female hormone estrogen. Because of this, some authors on the internet, especially healthy lifestyle advocates, vehemently oppose foam, assuring that it can make a man effeminate. And the truth is, people who abuse alcohol become overweight, and their breasts begin to sag. Everything converges. But this is a myth. The hormone found in beer hops is much weaker than human estrogen. And in order to change the hormonal background, its dose is not enough. You have to drink at least a tank or 2 of beer, so that a person will die earlier from alcohol poisoning. In addition, phytoestrogen is found in large quantities in nuts and oilseeds, as well as cereals, legumes, tofu, oats, barley, lentils, rice, and other plant foods. And nothing, it seems that male athletes do not turn into women. People who drink beer get fat, just like other alcoholic drinkers. Because, firstly, alcohol slows down the burning of fats, and secondly, it stimulates appetite. And the female hormones in hops have absolutely nothing to do with it. Myth 5. To cook a frog in boiling water, you need to increase the temperature gradually. A popular anecdote says that if you throw a frog into hot water, it will immediately jump out. But if you put it in a cold one and increase the temperature gradually, then the unfortunate amphibian will not feel the danger in time and will be cooked alive. Everything is like with people. They do not notice negative changes if you complicate their life, not immediately, but step by step. But frogs are far more cunning creatures than you think. They jump out of the water as soon as the temperature becomes uncomfortable for them, without waiting for the boil. And this, in fact, has long been verified by experts from the University of Georgia. The myth appeared in 1869 due to the experiments of the German physiologist Friedrich Goltz. He found that frogs really do not notice boiling water if their brains are first removed. The same amphibians in which this organ remains in the cranium, as envisaged by nature, leave the container at a liquid temperature of about 25 degrees Celsius. Myth 6. There is a special sound that makes people have a bowel movement. It is known that infrasound at high volume does not affect people in the best way. It causes restlessness, nausea, vision problems, anxiety, and can even make you see ghosts. But this is not the worst. On the internet, you can find claims that there is a special sound in the range between 5 and 9 Hz, which makes people who hear it involuntarily defecate. It was allegedly opened during tests for US astronauts, who, due to the vibrations of the rocket engines, accidentally stained their clothes. The wits called this sound brown note. They even made a series about him in South Park. But in fact, this is also a myth. During the development of rockets in the framework of the space program in the United States, tests were indeed carried out on the effects of infrasound on people in the range from 0.5 to 40 hertz. And too long its influence led to dizziness, nausea, nervousness, and temporary disorientation. But no one got their pants dirty. Myth 7. Life on Earth will disappear in 5 billion years when the sun becomes a giant. Our sun is roughly in the middle of its life cycle. It is about 4.6 billion years old and will shine for another 5 billion. After this time, the star will swell, turn from a yellow dwarf into a red giant, expanding to the orbit of Mars, and then gradually decrease and go out. The stub left from it, a white dwarf, will shine stably, but weakly for a very long time. Since in 5 billion years the expanding sun will swallow the Earth, most popular science sites write that this is how much time of life there is left on it. Say, the luminary will turn into a Hulk and burn all the planets of the terrestrial group. And this fairy tale ends. In fact, life on our Earth will disappear even earlier, before the sun becomes a giant. A habitable planet will not be 5 billion years old, but only one. The sun does not increase power immediately, but gradually. And it is in a billion years that the solar wind will become intense enough to evaporate the oceans. And the planet will completely lose liquid and atmosphere in about 2.5 billion years. Live with it now. Thanks for watching to the end. Like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and turn on notifications to catch all new videos.